What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Patreon exclusive spot exposed video right here in the beautiful low country of South Carolina. So today I have a spot picked out for you guys that is going to allow you guys to catch large amounts of fish, but I don't want you guys to get focused on this spot in particular. I want you guys to really dial in on the trends that we are covering. Now, one of the things we have to remember is as these winter months get colder, the water temperature is going to continue to drop. The fish are going to continue to move. So the trends and the patterns that are working right now for this December 1st episode or video may not work 3 or 4 weeks down the road from now due to a couple cold fronts that come in and continue to drop the water temperatures down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my absolute best to keep you guys abreast with the trends that are working for me. I'm out on the water 2, sometimes 3 days out of the week, and I'm out here fishing a lot inshore, so I'm able to keep in contact with what's working for me out on the water. Now also, if you guys are interested in me doing any offshore spot exposed videos, please let me know in the comment section of this video. I will be doing quite a bit of offshore stuff, hitting some of these nearby wrecks and reefs, and I would love to tell you guys about everything that's going on out there, baits I used. I'll give you exact coordinates. It doesn't matter to me. And kind of get you guys dialed in if you're interested in fishing like that. Now, I will need to get an overwhelming response for places to do videos offshore because I know there's not a lot of guys that have a lot of bigger boats. Now, when I say offshore, I'm not talking about 20 and 30 miles out. I'm talking about hitting some of these nearby wrecks and reefs that are everywhere from 2 miles out to 6 miles out. So if you guys are interested in that, please let me know in the comment section below, and let's really get this thing dialed in because I would love to share as much knowledge as I possibly could with you guys, but I want to make sure you guys feel like you're getting value for that information as well. So let's get zoomed in here. Let me show you guys the general area where we're going to be focusing on today. Now, this is a creek system that I have loaded up on fish before, but this is a type of creek system, and this is a type of fishing style and trend that you guys can replicate anywhere you go. If you go up to Charleston to visit family or friends, or you want to go down to Savannah, or even down into the Brunswick area, these same fishing trends are going to hold the same right now in the conditions that we are presented with. So let me get zoomed in here. The general area we're going to be talking about is this marsh system right over here, as well as this marsh system right here. Now, I don't know the name of this creek. I looked it up. I tried my best to find it. The only thing I could find is this is Corn Island right here, and this is the dead end of Mackey Creek right here. So if you're coming from the Hilton Head to Bluffton area, Pinckney Island boat ramp right here is going to be your best option. Just kind of snake through around the Mackey and swing wide here. Avoid the shallow area here if you're coming in at low tide, and just push right on in. And we're really going to just focus on this main river system right here. Now, I do want to set some parameters for this style spot of fishing, right? As you guys know, we have a lot of very windy days, and on these windy days, it's going to be difficult to get in and fish these types of spots. So if we have any kind of a heavy west, north, or east wind day that's 15 miles an hour or more, this may not be the best type of spot to fish. So the reason we are wanting to focus on fishing this type of spot is we're going to get our mindset on the fact that these fish want warm water, right? So in the wintertime, if you're wanting to find fish around warm water, you need to do 2 things. You either need to go deep where the water temperature is more stable and it's not fluctuating as much, or fish outflow points. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you guys today. I'm going to show you outflow points. Now, when you're fishing outflow points, there's a strategy that's involved with this. You have to kind of line up better days than others. You can hit these types of spots, or you can try these types of spots kind of in sunny days or dark, or cloudy days, and you can still possibly have success. But if you're looking for the most successful type of day to fish, I want you guys to focus on fishing an area like this on a bright sunny day, low wind, around noon. Now, the reason I give these types of parameters is because at high tide, all of this water is going to push into this coastal flat here and into this coastal flat here. And at high tide, as the water pushes in, that water is going to get warm from the mud, right? So as the water comes into these little creek veins like this, all this mud right back here is going to hold heat, and it's going to radiate heat, and it's going to warm that water. Then when the tide starts to pull out, all of this warm water is going to get sucked through the channels, through all these little outlet points like this, and it's going to get pulled out into the main river system where you have cold water. So now you have warm water meeting cold water. These fish, trout specifically, do not like cold water. They want to be where the water is the warmest it can be. And they're going to do it two ways, like I mentioned. They're going to do it in deep holes, or they're going to do it on these, or they're going to hang around these outflow points. Fishing around these outflow points is where I've been doing really, really well down here in Savannah and in Richmond Hill the past week and a half, right? So what I'm doing is I'm catching a high outgoing tide on a sunny, low wind day, and I am fishing every single little creek mouth that dumps out. I'm not focusing hard on the big points or the big creeks like this that have a lot of heavy structure and oysters and grasses and stuff like that. I'm not focusing on that too much. I'm just kind of playing a numbers game, and I'm hitting all the little creek mouths. So what you'll do is a strategy is to come up here to the very front of, say, this creek, for instance, and as soon as the tide starts to pull out, just float and drift all the way down like this. Every little creek mouth you pass, put a jig head in there, put a cork in there, put something in the mouth of this thing, and see if there's a fish. I'm telling you guys, the opportunities to catch fish in an area like this is going to be high. If you count these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 to 20 different places to fish along this riverbank here. If you float down that bank and you fish all 20 of those spots, and you pull one fish out of each one of those little creeks on average, you will have more fish than you know what to do with. And I'm telling you guys, this is the type of areas where these fish are going to be warm outflow points. So just start up here at the beginning and float it out. Once you get all the way down to this end here, motor back up and then hit the opposite side. Throw a jig head in there with a 1/4 ounce jig head with a 3 to 3.5 inch paddle tail. Cover that thing in Procure, bounce it on the bottom. Throw it into the creek mouth, throw it before the creek mouth, and throw it after the creek mouth. Basically, once you get into areas where you have multiple creeks like this, I want you guys to just pound the shoreline just like this. Just bounce it, throw it as far up close to the shore as you can, and work it back. Now, one of the things to focus on too, and remember, during the wintertime, if these fish are holding on that depth change, you have to be conscious of how close you're getting your boat to that shoreline. If you're trying to get your boat to the as close as you can because you don't make a long cast, and you drive your boat really close to the shore, you may be running over the fish. That's something that I've experienced before. I'll have my bottom machine on and I start pulling into an area and I look down and I just ran the fish over because I'm trying to get my cast all the way to the shoreline. So if you have to, start about making your first cast about 20 yards off the shoreline, fish the area out in front of these creek mouths like this, and then slightly move up a little bit more shallow. But you have to kind of play a game. You have to figure out where the fish are going to be holding at what depth. Once you figure out what depth these fish are going to be at in one single creek system like this, just basically run that line all the way down, fishing that same kind of water depth, and I guarantee you that's where you're going to find these fish. They're all going to be holding about that same depth because that depth is going to be a specific water temperature range, right? So this is an easy pattern, you guys, to get out here and duplicate. It doesn't matter if you fish this creek system or you fish any other creek system out there. All you guys need to do is you need to find somewhere where you have a lot of shallow water up here at high tide and fish these outflow points. Don't be so focused on hitting hard structure points like we used to with the oyster beds and whatnot. The thing that's going to draw the fish over the most is going to be that warm water. Now, there is going to be a little bit of bait flowing out still. You're still going to have some shrimp pulling out, and you're going to have some lost mullet as well. But those fish are basically going to be sitting there waiting for hopefully something to come out, but they're there for that warm water, I can tell you firsthand. So that's it, you guys. It's an easy recipe to get out here and catch fish. So I kind of cover the baits and lures you can use. If you want to use a popping cork, I'm not against it. You can use them. Just understand you need to have that adjustable depth set fairly deep. If your cork is not slightly leaned over as it floats down the bank line, you're not deep enough. You need to have that lure basically dragging the bottom and that cork kind of laid over because it's getting hung up as it goes. So if it's just flying down the bank, you need to adjust that thing and set it a little bit deeper. You can also play a game with the cork too, and you can use and look at various depths with that cork. So you can set it at 8 feet, throw it out, float it down a couple times if you get no bites, set it at 10 feet, float it down, and you can play with the depths until you figure out where the fish are going to be. But in the wintertime, a lot of the fish don't suspend too much, especially on these colder water areas. They're going to be pretty much smashed flat down to the bottom, and they're going to be sitting on the bottom on that ledge looking up to ambush anything that comes overhead or anything that's bounced right in front of their face. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks again for the support with Patreon. Get out here, catch some fish. Don't forget, leave me a comment in the comment of this video if you want me to give you guys any offshore stuff. I'd love to share as much knowledge with you as I possibly can. I just want to make sure that I keep the general masses happy with what I'm doing. So I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care, you guys. God bless.